Welcome back to Bible Quizzes. We got another round for you guys. 35 questions on the scriptures. Let's get started. Question 1. King Solomon became the king after King David's reign. True or false? True. 1 Kings 1:30. I will surely carry out this very day what I swore to you by the Lord, the God of Israel. Solomon your son shall be king after me, and he will sit on my throne in my place. Question 2. Noah's sons are named Shem, Ham, and Seth. True or false? False. 1 Chronicles 1:4. The sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Question 3. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. True or false? True. Psalms 37:4. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Question 4. Jacob was later called Israel. True or false? True. Genesis 32:28. Then the man said, Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. Question 5. The place where Jacob saw God face to face was called Pedriel. True or false? False. Genesis 32:30. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared. Question 6. Jacob built an altar to God at the place called Synagogue. True or false? False. Genesis 35:3. Then come, let us go up to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and who has been with me wherever I have gone. Question 7. Jacob buried all the foreign gods they had under the oak at Canaan. True or false? False. Genesis 35:4. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. Question 8. Rebekah's nurse named Deborah died at a place outside Bethel, and it was named Aluth Bakan. True or false? False. Genesis 35:8. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak outside Bethel, so it was named Elon Bekuth. Question 9. Joseph was sold by the Midianites to Pontius Pilate. True or false? False. Genesis 37:36. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. Question 10. Pharaoh had a dream wherein he was standing by the Nile River, and he saw 7 cows that are sleek and fat and grazed among the reeds. True or false? True. Genesis 41:1-2. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. Question 11. When Joseph was put in charge of the whole land of Egypt, the Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. True or false? True. Genesis 41:42. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. Question 12. The name Asenath was given by the Pharaoh to Joseph. True or false? The answer is false. Genesis 41:45. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zephanath Paneah, and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, to be his wife. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Question 13. Joseph was 40 years old when he entered the service of the king of Egypt. True or false? False. Genesis 41:46. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled through Egypt. Question 14. Joseph's firstborn son was named Ephraim. True or false? False. Genesis 41:52. The second son he named Ephraim and said, "It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." Question 15. The name Manasseh means forget. True or false? True. Genesis 41:51. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh and said, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." Question 16. Joseph gave Benjamin 300 shekels of gold and 5 sets of clothes. True or false? False. Genesis 45:22. To each of them he gave new clothing, but to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 sets of clothes. Question 17. A law was established in the land of Egypt saying that the first produce belongs to the Pharaoh. True or false? False. Genesis 47:26. So Joseph established it as a law concerning land in Egypt still in force today, that a fifth of the produce belongs to Pharaoh. Question 18. For 20 years Jacob lived in Egypt. True or false? False. Genesis 47:28. Jacob lived in Egypt 17 years, and the years of his life were 147. Question 19. Joseph lived 110 years and saw the third generation of Ephraim's children. True or false? True. Genesis 50:22-23. Joseph stayed in Egypt along with all his father's family. He lived 110 years and saw the third generation of Ephraim's children. Question 20. Moses saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, which led to him killing the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. True or false? True. Exodus 2:11-12. One day after Moses had grown up, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Question 21. When Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters, the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. True or false? True. Exodus 8:6. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land. Question 22. The word Peers means your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. True or false? True. Daniel 5:28. Peres, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Question 23. When Jesus was tempted by Satan, he was ordered to tell the bread to become stones. True or false? False. Matthew 4:3. The tempter came to him and said, If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Question 24. The first man who committed murder in the Bible was Cain. True or false? True. Genesis 4:8. Now Cain said to his brother Abel, Let's go out to the field. While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Question 25. On the 15th day of the month, a festival will be held, and for 6 days bread made without yeast will be eaten. True or false? False. Numbers 28:17. On the 15th day of this month there is to be a festival. For 7 days eat bread without yeast. On the first day hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. 26. The Lord stated in one of his commandments to remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. True or false? True. Exodus 20:8-10. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. Question 27. The Lord said to Israel to go on a journey to Beersheba and go to Gilgal. True or false? False. Amos 5:5. Do not seek Bethel, do not go to Gilgal, do not journey to Beersheba, for Gilgal will surely go into exile and Bethel will be reduced to nothing. Question 28. Riphath is one of the sons of Japheth. True or false? False. 1 Chronicles 1:6. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. Question 29. Bela, son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the city was named Dinhabah. True or false? True. 1 Chronicles 1:43. These were the kings who reigned in Edom before any Israelite king reigned. Bela, son of Beor, whose city was named Dinhabah. Question 30. When Bela died, Hadad, the son of Bedad, succeeded him as king. True or false? False. 1 Chronicles 1:44. When Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah from Bozrah, succeeded him as king. Question 31. When Moses and Israelites came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was mossy. True or false? False. Exodus 15:23. When they came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. That is why the place is called Marah. Question 32. When Moses led Israel from the Red Sea to the desert of Shur, they traveled in the desert without finding water for 5 days. True or false? False. Exodus 15:22. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea and they went into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. Question 33. Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of leaf to throw into the water of Marah, and the water became fit to drink. True or false? False. Exodus 15:25. Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became fit to drink. Question 34. Moses and the Israelites came to Elim and camped near the water where there were 10 springs and 70 palm trees. True or false? False. Exodus 15:27. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water. Question 35. Moses was ordered by God to strike a rock at Horeb, and water will come out to it for the Israelites' people to drink. True or false? True. Exodus 17:6. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb, strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink. Alright, that's all the questions we have for today, so make sure you post your score in the comments down below and share this video with your friends and family so you can compare your score against theirs, and we'll see you in the next one.